Welcome back to Hypnosis Today, where we explore how people are using hypnosis to achieve remarkable things. If you've just joined us, I have as our second guests Chase McKenna, who is an honors grad of HMI College of Hypnotherapy, and her very special guest and client, Cynthia. Now, Cynthia came in to visit Chase for energy and motivation. Please help me welcome my guest. Cynthia, I want to start with you. Why hypnotherapy for motivation and energy?
I've been doing talk therapy for a number of years. I'm pretty smart. I'd figured out, intellectually all the issues that I had and sort of laid out the groundwork of steps I needed to take and things I needed to do, but I wasn't having any breakthroughs. The emotion wasn't changing, and some friends recommended hypnotherapy, and I heard about Chase, and I gave it a try, and it was absolutely amazing.
So when I ask about, when we talk about the talk therapy, you had an intellectual understanding. Were you taking the action steps that you needed to achieve your goals?
I found that I didn't have the motivation to actually do what needed to be done. I would always find reasons not to, and I could talk myself out of it. So I wasn't really doing what I needed to help myself. So did you look for a hypnotherapist and find Chase? Yeah, I was interested in it, and then through friends, I started talking about it, and I said, I'm considering this, and somebody said, oh, that's kind of amazing because I know this person, and she's very good. You should, and it was a wonderful matchup. Excellent. Now, with someone who's this intellectual and has this kind of insight, what kind of an induction did you use?
Yeah, no, Cynthia is one of those ideal clients. She definitely kept me on my toes. Came in with a wonderful analysis, very, very intelligent. So I took her through a very long, progressive relaxation to get her very physically calm as well as mentally calm and relaxed.
Is it hard for you to relax, Cynthia?
It is. I'm always thinking about something. My brain is always on. I have to sort of exhaust myself. I have to do yoga or some athletic activity in order to achieve a calm state.
What was the progressive like for you?
I started, my brain was always going like, oh, this is not going to work, or oh, you're not relaxed enough, or oh, you're not really asleep, or oh, I fought it a lot.
Sure.
And I wanted to let go, and I eventually I intellectualized enough to tell my brain to shut off, at least to give it a try.
And I like that, Chase, that you understood that by just slowing down and extending it, you would mentally exhaust her, and finally she could relax into it. And it's so interesting that you said that you didn't feel like you were giving it a chance. The nice thing about hypnosis is there's 5 billion ways to do it right. There's no ways to do it wrong. So what kind of things did you use to help Cynthia get to the place that she wanted to be, to make those breakthroughs, because she used the word stuck?
She was, yeah. She was very stuck when she came in, and we ended up having a huge breakthrough, and I decided to go with neuro-linguistic programming for her because she was so intellectual and it was on a very cognitive level. And once we dove into neuro-linguistic programming, more specifically timeline therapy, we saw instant breakthroughs.
It's interesting you talk about timeline therapy. A lot of people aren't familiar with it. Can you teach it to us?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Timeline therapy is still a pretty cognitive process. It's not deep in the hypnotic state, mild trance-like state. Have the client close their eyes, and they begin to elicit a timeline, essentially, off their body, indicating where the future and the past would be, essentially there in the present moment. Once I get that information from the client, have them close their eyes, and she was stuck based on a belief system or something negative she may have been holding on to from her past. So in timeline therapy, I had her float up above her timeline, and she's essentially going back to a time in her childhood where this initial negative belief.
I'm going to ask you to hold the thought right there. As you are able to float above and look at your timeline, could you access a time when you got frustrated or got stuck in a limiting belief?
Yeah.
Would you like to share it with us?
Sure. I found a time in my childhood where I was disappointed and sad, and it was actually over the loss of a pet cat while moving. And I was very young and very attached to that animal, and it was very easy to see this. It was like a shining point of pain
Yes.
on the timeline.
Well, you're preaching to the choir because I get it, and I'm a big cat person and connect with pets as members of the family.
Yeah.
Certainly children don't differentiate that much between any of the members of the family, even the animals.
Mm-hmm.
So once that you define this point of sadness or stuckness or frustration, what do you do next?
You have the client float above it even higher, so they get to emotionally disassociate from it, and they actually go before the event occurred. So they can look at it and know that it's going to happen in their life, but let's try to find the positive learnings as to why this negative event happened, and allow that to be the new response that your subconscious accepts instead of hanging on to this negative belief.
And that's huge.
Huge.
Were you able to find some sort of a gift or a lesson or a purpose in this extremely painful event in your young life?
Yeah.
What did you find?
We kept asking, and why this would happen, and each answer each response that I gave brought me to a more sort of loving approach to myself, to be able to see myself as this child and to see the situation that I couldn't understand then, and see it as just sort of a thing that happened. It wasn't a punishment. It wasn't caused by me. It was just something that happened, and that I didn't deserve it, and I didn't need to keep being punished for it.
Yes. Now I'm going to tie that back to your initial reason for coming in, which was motivation, energy, success, I would guess too. How did you find, going back to this cause, that somehow you were being punished or you deserved this loss? Can you bring it up and talk to me now about the breakthrough that this information gave you, finding the gift, and how it helped you move forward with energy, motivation, and success?
Absolutely. I found, and it was so strange because the hypnotherapy work was instantaneous. I had spent so many years in talk therapy and with psychiatrists and psychologists talking things through and trying to understand things. And I came out of that session, and something would happen the next day, and I would get ready to feel upset, or I would get ready to beat myself up with negative energy, and I just didn't have any negative energy to hit myself with. It was very strange. I kept trying to go back to my old ways of programming, and I just didn't. And I didn't need to spend that energy being negative. Suddenly I had this energy to just deal with the things that were causing problems in my life.
I have a technical question for you. Did you use a double bind? The more you try to feel negative, the more you try to feel exhausted, the more you try to feel blocked, the harder it becomes, no matter how hard you try?
I did have one. It was very similar to that because she was initially resistant. So I said, your mind may resist these suggestions that I'm giving you, but the harder you try to resist, the more powerful and effective they actually become.
Yeah.
And did you like that? Because you went and you really gave it a really good try.
Yeah.
Especially the next day.
I'm a hard worker, and I work just as hard at beating myself up as I do of trying to accomplish positive things. So,
yeah, you know what? I find the beating the self up, it's a lot easier sometimes.
Yeah.
Except for the harder you try, the more you have to do positive.
Yeah.
Tell me about your energy now.
I have energy to get up and do things. I don't have the excuses anymore. It's like I get up and I go to the yoga class, and I get up and I go take a hike with a friend, and I jump in and do things organizationally and clean out the garage and send out the resumes, and there's no more reason not to.
Yes.
I don't have a reason not to, and then I feel better when I do it. I don't feel more drained. I feel more energized by spending my energy positively and taking action.
That makes a lot of sense. Give me some tangibles. What's been happening with your career?
I am an actress, mostly stage right now. I am in a wonderful production of a wonderful play, and with a great cast.
What
and
play? You can tell us.
It's The Elephant Man. I'm Bernard Pomerantz, and it was a Tony winner back in the 70s when it came out, and it is a play about personal and social acceptance and ostracism, and sort of the games we play to fit in, and how we take ourselves apart and rebuild ourselves in order to be what we feel somebody else needs us to be.
Sounds kind of like a metaphor for hypnotherapy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works.
Isn't it though? Synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
What are some suggestions or techniques that you would recommend for anybody who needs motivation, success, and overcoming blocks?
Lisa, I think you nailed it with the double bind. I mean, that's always just a good given. The more you try to feel lethargic and tired, the more energized you'll actually feel, even if you try. So that's always a wonderful way to lock in the subconscious mind and trick it up just a little bit. Timeline, I think, is always a wonderful way to release any negativity, because these things happen to us in a time when we really weren't making these choices.
That is true.
But our subconscious doesn't know the difference. So time to release and let that go. And I always definitely recommend venting dreams to let the subconscious get rid of it in the early morning in a natural and healthy way.
Yes.
So you can move forward.
I love those suggestions. I'm going to end with you, Cynthia. What would you say to all the analytical, intellectuals, extremely bright people who have tons of insight but feel locked into their feelings or locked into inaction? What would you say to them about going to see a hypnotherapist?
Give hypnotherapy a try.
Is it scary?
It is actually not. It is simply relaxation. You never lose control. You work with your hypnotherapist. You are in agreement that you are going to try this thing and that you are safe and protected and that you are doing something positive, because you wouldn't be coming to a therapist unless you wanted to see some change. And it works. It just absolutely works.
Well, Chase, I know that everyone is going to want to come and explore neuro-linguistic programming, even if they're not intellectual analyticals. I know that everyone's going to want to learn how to do timeline therapy or perhaps experience timeline therapy. And you can reach Chase McKenna on HMIgrads.com. I want to thank my guest Cynthia and thank Chase for coming in and joining us and sharing their experiences. But it appears that we're out of time for today. I hope that everybody will continue to tune in. I want to thank everyone in my studio audience and those of you watching at home. My name is Lisa Machenberg, and I hope we'll see you next time when we meet more people and explore how they are using hypnosis today. Please stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up for you on HMIwebTV. That's Hypnotherapy Television, 24/7.
All the issues that I had and sort of laid out the groundwork of steps I needed to take and things I needed to do, but I wasn't having any breakthroughs. The emotion wasn't changing, and some friends recommended hypnotherapy, and I heard about Chase, and I gave it a try, and it was absolutely amazing.
So when I ask about, when we talk about the talk therapy, you had an intellectual understanding. Were you taking the action steps that you needed to achieve your goals?
I found that I didn't have the motivation to actually do what needed to be done. I would always find reasons not to, and I could talk myself out of it. So I wasn't really doing what I needed to help myself.
So did you look for a hypnotherapist and find Chase?
Yeah, I was interested in it, and then through friends, like I started talking about it, and I said, yeah, I'm
the HMI College of Hypnotherapy, and her very special guest and client, Cynthia. Now, Cynthia came in to visit Chase for energy and motivation. Please help me welcome my guest. Cynthia, I want to start with you. Why hypnotherapy for motivation and energy?
I've been doing talk therapy for a number of years. I'm pretty smart. I'd figured out, intellectually considering this, and somebody said, oh, that's kind of amazing because I know this person, and she's very good, you should. And it was a wonderful matchup.
Excellent. Now, with someone who's this intellectual and has this kind of insight, what kind of an induction did you use?
Yeah, no, Cynthia is one of those ideal clients. She definitely kept me on my toes. Came in with a wonderful analysis, very, very intelligent. So I took her through a very long, progressive.
Welcome back to Hypnosis Today, where we explore how people are using hypnosis to achieve remarkable things. If you've just joined us, I have as our second guests Chase McKenna, who is an honors grad of